Jacob is back there this time. Thank you. Good evening. Call the Hawarden City Council to order on Wednesday, May 25th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council and staff. Corey is on vacation. So a number of important agenda items tonight to address. We start with number 1A, approval of the May 11th, 2022 regular City Council meeting minutes. Again, you've had those in your packet.
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor then of the May 11th regular City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. That passes 5-0. Claims for payment for May 25th. We'll start to my left with Rob for questions.
No questions.
Okay, Patty, do you have questions?
No.
John?
None, thank you.
Travis?
None, thank you.
Monty, questions? Is there a motion for claims for payment for May 25th?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor then of claims for payment for today, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. That again passes 5-0. Open business from the community. Hearing none, we'll move to the mayor's report. Our congratulations to the members of the senior class at West Sioux, graduated this past Sunday, and also to the other students from our community that are graduating at other high schools or colleges. Graduation is a culmination of hard work and opportunities for new adventure. We wish for each and every one of them their future endeavors success. A good quote by Minor Myers Jr. says, "Go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good." Last week was National EMS Week. We thank all of those that volunteer their time and talent for our Hawarden Ambulance Service. Also, we congratulate our ambulance director, Jeff Nohava, who has served our ambulance squad for 40 years. Lastly, Monday, May the 30th is Memorial Day. There are local ceremonies at Grace Hill Cemetery if you wish to attend. Please respect the day as we honor the men and women who have died while serving in the United States military. Once said by Emily Potter, heroes never die. They live on forever in the hearts and minds of those who would follow in their footsteps. So please enjoy family and friends and be respectful on Memorial Day. This moves us to staff reports. We'll start with Jacob for anything.
Got nothing.
Okay.
Got nothing new.
Number 8 when we get there. Travis, please.
I recently received a email letting us know that there could be some energy shortages during the summer. Both Mid-Continent Independent System Operators, which is MISO, and Southwest Power Pool, which we are in the Southwest Power Pool. They're forecasting higher loads than there is generation. So with that, MRES, we're having a webinar June 2nd to discuss what that looks like for all the members. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I'll bring more information back after that meeting.
How's the well situation going?
The wells are holding steady, so we'll just continue to do what we do and pray for rain.
Okay, thank you. Wanda?
I have a couple items. Congratulations to Jacob. He has officially received his Iowa Certified Municipal Clerk certificate. Actually, he hasn't got the certificate. He'll get that in October, but we received official notification. So we congratulate him on that. He is taking on some extra duties with that. Of course, there's always a benefit to having that certification. So he'll be moving into some additional role responsibilities. Even though it doesn't look like it today, the pool will be opening on Monday. We're supposed to have nice weather. However, it's been a challenge for our pool staff this year with the ratio that went through the amount of dirt that was in the pool was, I would say, unprecedented.
And we're trying to do everything we can not to empty it and clean it, because it's, well, the water for one, and then $6,000 in chemicals. So it's the last thing we want to do. Worst case scenario, we'll have to push it off a few days just to keep vacuuming and filtering the water.
We're optimistic. We're hoping to open on Monday. We'll see how that goes, but we are working on the flood ordinance. The Planning and Zoning Commission will be getting that this next week, and the council will be seeing that for approval or review and approval in a public hearing, which has to be completed before August. We'll be talking a little bit about that later on tonight, as that impacts some of the land that the city owns. There are personnel policy updates that the management committee from the council has reviewed and will be brought to the council in the coming meetings, hopefully to have that approval before July 1st. We're moving our benefits from the fiscal calendar year that we have been in to a actual calendar year to have it be less confusing for our staff. And in telecom, Ron is busy as always. He's making some purchases of equipment to increase our broadband, so we continue on that process. And that's all I have, Rick.
Thank you. Jacob, congratulations.
Thanks.
Good, thanks for your hard work with that. Jenny, anything from you?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carol, please.
We're working hard with the Community Catalyst Building Remediation Program. That will be another $100,000 grant that we can earn or award to one building in our downtown area. It's exactly the same program as what I used for the Central Parks building, but it will be one that now we can offer to another building. So the deadline for that is January 1, if any of the downtown business owners would like to send me a proposal. I do have paperwork, so I could be contacted. I should find out about my USDA grant, the $99,000 one. Hopefully we'll find out in a day or two on that one, because that would be nice to add that to my revolving loan fund along with the $25,000 matching money. So it would give me another $124,000 to loan out and to encourage, you know, with some facade grant type monies to encourage people to move into our downtown businesses or buildings. The housing rehab grant, we were able to today, thank goodness for the rain, to get the contractors to the lead renovation certificate program. So those two houses, the $50,000, will be able to get those contracts signed this week and get those guys going. The Housing Trust Fund, I was able to get another homeowner here in our town, $12,500 for his home to do some beautification, so he's pretty excited about that. That's through a little bit of a different program. The T-Bone Trail, which is sponsored by the Western Iowa Tourism Region, we've put in our city of Hawarden to be included on their tour. He will be here June 13th. It is a super fun project for our city. We'll be able to work with some of our local businesses. Plus, we're going to tour things. We're going to stay out at the cabins in Oak Grove, so it's going to be a great time. So you will see a camera crew moving around town in Hawarden on June 13th, so it'll be a lot of fun. And the industrial lots, I have got two separate different companies. One's going to put in their resolution to purchase tonight, and another one to buy those industrial lots, so we'll visit with that here coming up. So that's about it.
Good, thank you, Carol, for your good work. Any questions of staff from council before we move on? Or any council comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, discussion and approval of the Hawarden Regional Healthcare pursuit for ER Radiology Department and Hawarden Clinic project. A lot of good things happening up at Hawarden Regional Healthcare. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, everyone. So thanks for giving me some time to explain what we're trying to propose. It is a little complicated, and so that's why I gave you kind of a Word document to kind of work your way through there. The Hospital Board of Trustees have been working on expanding the emergency room and radiology department and enhancing the Hawarden Clinic. Hawarden Clinic is owned by the hospital 50%, the practice, and so I want to just be clear, the hospital owns the actual building, but the actual practice is owned by 50% hospital and 50% Mercy One. And so it's a joint venture between the hospital and Mercy One. The clinic is a certified rural health clinic. The physicians we have in there, we have one MD, family medicine, and one internal medicine, and 2 advanced practice practitioners, which makes 4 providers. The clinic is designed in a pod scenario, so there's only really room for 3 providers, but we're making do with 4 providers, and we're kind of sharing rooms throughout the providers. Is this on? Just making sure. Can you hear me? Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, and we're also in the recruitment for 2 additional physicians. One, we have a physician that is going to be retiring in the next couple of years, and then we also need to replace Dr. Waddell. We've done some light rental on that. It's a nice professional space. It really looks nice now, but it's just not, there's not enough space. Rural health clinics is a program intended to increase the access to primary health care services for patients in rural communities. RHC status enhances reimbursement rates for Medicare and Medicaid patients, and so that's kind of a big deal. We get a little bit more reimbursement for each clinic visit than we do with a normal standalone clinic, and so that's a big certification. In 2000, and then the other interesting thing we need to understand is HIPSA, and that's a health professional shortage area. As a primary care providers for MDs and DOs to take care of an entire population in the geographic area. In Sioux County, we lost the HIPSA certification in 2011. The Hawarden Clinic has been grandfathered in since 2011 every year, so we can continue to have those advanced reimbursement rates. The RHC certification is tied to that physical address. So to move that clinic anywhere on the campus, we would have to be in a HIPSA area. So we can never move that clinic from that physical address. We've been working with, I've been working with the state for approximately 5 years to try to segregate out Hawarden by township into its own specific HIPSA that's separate from Sioux County. The reason why I know it can be done is it's done in Lincoln County because the northern part of Lincoln County is in Sioux Falls, and so they segregated out the lower proportion of Lincoln County, so they are ultimately a HIPSA. So I knew it could be done. I've been working with the state like for 5 years, and the answer has always been no. We got a window, and so we've been able to get the HIPSA certification for the town of Hawarden, which is a big deal. That HIPSA certification was awarded in August of 2021. That's a 4-year certification. So this August, we have burnt 1 year of that certification. We have 3 official years left for that certification. And again, a reminder, we can only move that clinic underneath that designation of a HIPSA. Once we lose that, we lose the ability to relocate that clinic. So we've been steadfast in trying to move forward quite rapidly to make plans to change the location of that clinic. And so we have worked with a couple architects and actually hired Graham Construction to kind of help us price out the bid for the building. The challenging piece is when we initially first started this thought process, the architect was giving us roughly about a $300 square foot estimate. Well, that's gone up exponentially with the current environment that we're in. Right now, the project is sitting at $9.7 million. We have a 10% contingency of $970,000 and a 5% inflation, which brings roughly $11 million estimated construction cost. Ultimately, the biggest cost we have is A, the escalation of prices, and then B, the fact that we have to put a retention pond underneath in ground so we can have all the roof surface water enter into the retention pond so that it can slowly be removed into the city sewer. And so there's a lot of cost associated with that. We also have to bring in new utilities for that expansion. The financing, the board ultimately would like to start to move forward. Ultimately, the environment is very volatile with financing and interest rates going up, And so we'd like to start to move forward towards tax-exempt bonds for $8 million to assist with the financing of the project. We'd also like to move into construction documents so we can get that project up and operational. And ultimately, with the information that I shared with all the city council members, we are in a good financial position, and so we think we can handle the rest of the cost for the organization, and that's where we're at. And so you can see up on the screen, this is the view of the clinic. If you could keep going and scroll. And this is another view of the clinic. This is how it would attach to the existing facility. And of course, the connection with the existing facility that we occupied in 2017. And ultimately, the floor plan of what it would look like sitting on the campus. You'll see the green is emergency room expansion, so we would add 2 emergency room bays, a place for the doctor to sleep, and some other pain management services. The purple is where we hope the new MRI would reside, and then the brown is a connection from the existing hospital into the new clinic space. So the challenges that we have in front of us is we have a short time window to be able to construct a new clinic and be able to recertify it, because we have to do it within that 4-year window. August of this year, we have burnt 1 year. Our plan is to have construction documents done and bid out this fall, with financing secured this fall, with us ordering the HVAC system, the steel, all the material that we need in the fall, and then start early construction the next following year. That way, when we talk to Graham Construction, they believe that's the best strategy, because the delays in supplies are really huge. So if we can get the bids out, we can get the total cost locked down, the financing secured, we can order the HVAC system, we can order the steel, we can order the supplies that we need, and a contractor won't touch the ground until spring of 2023. Then we have a very short window to get it up and operational, and they estimate about an 18-month window to have it constructed. The nice thing about this project, compared to the other projects we've done in the hospital, is we really don't have to relocate anybody. And so it's kind of a clean bill. You look at the People's Bank, you know, they're currently in the old building and they're building the new one, and that's gone up fairly rapidly. We would have the same experience here. We would have some tie-in points, but it would be a clean build, and we would not have to disrupt what we're currently doing. The clinic has the room for 5 providers in there. We do have a separate waiting area, 1 for sick, so you would check in if you got a cough, sniffle, or something going on. You would be segregated into a sick waiting area, and then if you came in and you needed a physical or you needed a med check, you would be segregated into a well area. The top of the clinic entrance there, we would probably shift our urgent care from where it is now, and we would be running urgent care through the clinic setting, which is actually more feasible. So I've had some questions, well, what about the clinic and what are you going to do with it? That's a good question. The clinic currently is a space that is very usable. The hospital space, where, I don't know if you've been in the lower level of the hospital, but my office, HIM, Director of Finance, all those people that don't really generate revenue are stuck in hospital space. So what we would do is move those people that don't generate revenue into the clinic. And that gives us the opportunity to use the hospital square footage to generate revenue. Right now, it's not generating revenue. And so if we move all the administration and all support services over to the clinic, we can then use that to generate revenue, either through the Senior Life Solutions Program or physical therapy or speech or occupational therapy. That part makes a lot of sense. Any questions? I'm sure there's tons.
Do you have to be physically complete by that 4-year window, or
It has to be.
just started?
It has to be recertified, so the clinic has to be up, and we have to have the state come out and recertify the rural health clinic. And so, yes, it has to be up and at least operational. Now, granted, it doesn't have to be fully complete, just like when we remodeled the west wing or the inpatient side. We were still missing handrails and miscellaneous, but it's got to be 99.9% complete. So it's recertified as occupable space, so we can start to see patients through there, yeah.
There's a note that 5 to 6 million in capital improvement funds set aside. Is that going to be used for some of this, or is that for the hospital?
Well, the hospital has over the years been putting money away for capital improvements. And so we have an account that's about $5 to $6 million. And since the project is 11, we want to borrow 8, and we know that there's going to be some soft costs associated with that. Then we would use those monies in that account to finish the project.
That's what you meant, okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wanda, how does this affect our bonding as a city?
So that's a conversation that Jason and I have had with them bonding in 2022. If we look to do streets in '23, they're in 2 different calendar years, so we don't bump up against our $10 million tax exempt.
Yep.
So they're planning to do in 2022 works in nicely with what we have in mind.
And our goal is to try to get in as soon as possible to lock in rates and get the best interest we can. And, you know, if we can get the bonds done in 2022, we'll have to expend some dollars to make sure, you know, we get the steel coming and the HVAC systems coming, you know. But we'll probably, you know, understand that those dollars are for the building project, and understand that we will be bearing the interest on those too, so.
Just on a business note, Mercy One was bought out by a Michigan group. Any changes with that locally, or?
No, that's a good question. Thanks. So in the state of Iowa, Mercy One as a system, they had different ownership. So Trinity Health owned some of the Mercy One shops, and Common Spirit or CHI, Catholic Health Initiative, owned some of the facilities in Mercy One. And so what happened when any time a decision had to be made for the Mercy One system, they had to get approval through Trinity Health, and they had to get approval through Common Spirit. And so it just made a lot of sense for all the Mercy One facilities in Iowa to have one parent company instead of 2. And so they sold off the assets of Common Spirit to Mercy One.
Other questions for Jason in regards to this project? Looks like you put a lot of thought into it. Board's done a lot of work.
Yep.
Wanda, tonight we would need, just a voice vote for them to continue their pursuing the bonding?
That's what they're looking for. There will be resolutions coming once they start the bonding process that we'll need to approve, but before they spend any more money on the project and those expenses, they want to get the city council's approval on moving forward.
Obviously, you know, when we go out to bid, you know, we don't know what that environment's going to be in the fall. You know, if the project is extremely elevated, obviously the council will have an opportunity to weigh in on, does that make sense or not? You know, we want to push to construction documents as soon as possible, start working on, you know, what does that environment for bonding look like for us? It's going to take a little bit of time. And so we just want to, you know, ultimately get you involved and get your ideas and And this is, I think, a great addition to our campus and to our town. We are in steady growth, and which is really exciting. I think it's going to be a good complement to our facility. And if we don't do it now, I don't know if we'll ever have the opportunity to do it again.
Any further questions? Is there a motion for the approval of the Hawarden Regional Healthcare to pursue the bonding?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yep.
Agenda item number 4, discussion on industrial lots and flood plan designation. Turn this to Wanda and probably Travis.
So I guess Travis is going to have better history than I do, but approximately 2 years ago, FEMA decided that it was time to take a look at the flood map in Hawarden, and unfortunately, the flood map did not come out in our favor. The flood map that is, or I guess it isn't proposed, it's going to go into effect August 2nd of this year. And what you're looking at on the screen up here is actually our industrial lots that are here. The blue, these have not been in a floodplain before and now have been designated to be in a floodplain. So anyone building or purchasing and building in this area will have to have an elevated building in order to be able to build in that area. So as you can see, there are other areas in Hawarden that have not been designated or have not in the past been designated as in a floodplain. I won't spend a lot of time on those tonight, but up in this area up here, I think that's right, that wasn't in a floodplain.
The red area is certified safe by our right bank of the levee. A lot of the money we spent certifying that allows that designation to be protected by the levee. So that saved a huge area.
Yeah.
And that was the expense that we had this year that we hadn't anticipated. I think it was $250,000 that we put into
Try
the
to,
levy.
Yeah, to protect certain areas that
Right.
really are questionable.
Right. But as we get up,
It really expanded around the Central Park.
right in our neck of the woods here,
Okay, where,
this is all in floodplain now.
oh, man.
So we have some homeowners that have never been in a floodplain before and now will be.
Required to have flood insurance.
If it's financed, they will for sure have to have it. Okay? So going back down to our industrial lots, the last time that we sold an industrial lot was 2 years ago. We have not sold anything since. So add in the impact of having to bring in fill for this to be able to put a building here. We are looking at probably some incentives more than we'd had in the past for industrial development. We have had some interest this year, surprisingly a lot of interest this year, right up until we found out it was in a flood zone. So that we're asking the council to give us some direction on what kind of incentives we want to do for that industrial park. We do have interest. As far as we know, the water has never gotten that far.
During March of 19, when the ground was still frozen and we got 3-4 inches of rain, people had water where they've never had water before. So that's a little bit of an anomaly. But during our other high flood times, yeah, there's never been water there. But in the FEMA design, that's...
Was there any arguing about that or questioning
Oh, yes.
to try to,
We had multiple discussions. They stick by the LiDAR. We actually went out, had DGR hit some points, so we knew where
okay.
the elevations were. Baumgars and and the Anderson building, the spec building, we got them out of the flood zone because they were originally in there, so there were some discrepancies. But anytime the railroad, they're high enough, they do hold water back, but it's not a levee, it can't be considered a levee. So they just basically don't include that as even being there.
So if you put like 12 inches of fill in an industrial lot, let's say you're talking about, will that keep a potential business from being required to get flood insurance?
Yes, they can apply for a LOMA, a
Okay.
letter of map
That's-
amendment.
Okay.
And, based on some of those areas, it's inches of water. I mean, we're not talking it's going to flood feet, it's inches that we need to bring it up. But whatever that water elevation is, they have to build their lowest floor, so their building floor, 12 inches above whatever that elevation
Yes.
flood is. So it gives them a foot of cushion. And that's just for the building, they wouldn't have to do it for the whole lot, per se. But it is an added cost that wasn't there before.
What we are, or what we're looking at, excuse me, tonight, that you're looking at, the next item is potentially offering more discounts or more incentives for somebody to want to build in those industrial parks. Right now, we're not collecting any taxes on it because we own them. So looking toward the future, we do have tax abatement on this property. They are eligible to apply for that, but if we don't get the property on the tax rolls, it doesn't matter what we do. We feel pretty confident that anybody building here, with the elevations and then DGR checking what what FEMA had done, that they should be fairly secure as long as they build it up above what they need to do. And again, we have had interest, my being new to this position, I'm not sure where that interest was in the years past, but this year it seems like Carol has been very busy fielding questions from people from out of the area and in our area that are interested in building in our industrial park. So we're open to any suggestions that the council might have as far as incentives. What we have offered in the next resolution is a starting point for us. I'm not sure, we're basically throwing up a balloon for you to either shoot down or tell us where you want us to go with it.
Can you give a rough cost of what the additional cost would be to get that lot ready for someone to purchase?
Well, right now with
Roughly.
diesel fuel, it's,
Can't.
Take a bit.
yeah, has Adam mentioned any cost as far as hauling the?
He has not. One other group of individuals that I'm working with, they are taking, it's a larger lot than the one Adam is after, and they have an estimate somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 to bring in enough filled dirt for the cost of the dirt plus the cost of the hauling of the dirt, to get it in there to bring their building up to apply for the LOMA.
Is that a pretty large lot?
The acre and a half would be
Okay.
one. They're actually
The one
thinking
that-
about taking two, but
Oh, I see what you're
it would
saying.
be
Yeah.
an acre and a half.
It's costly to haul in dirt
Yes.
level and.
Yeah, anymore, the hauling is
Great
just as
building out
much, if
there.
not more, than the dirt itself.
It certainly doesn't help the city to have them not being used.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'd rather have to find another and get this one filled and find another opportunity than to.
Out of the flood zone.
Yeah.
So we sold one lot, and you have some figures in here of, like a grant incentive. Let's see, what else do you have? I was gonna ask. I mean, I'm just trying to think of some consistency. If we start selling them, we give, unless you get
Right.
somebody that's got this huge manufacturing business, it's, and then they take up 3 lots, it's different. I was just looking at per lot. But I would like to see building out there too. That's just my personal opinion. And now this does put a damper on businesses when you're trying to, encourage them to build or relocate. And you're in a flood, anytime you're in a flood zone,
It's a little scary, you know, so
It
you
is.
say that word and like,
And I was going to look at your resolution just a second.
The other problem that we have with this flood issue is they have to apply for a special permit through the DNR, which adds another 6 months to the process, estimated at this point. So that also puts a damper on it.
That deters them. And then, especially if they want to get building and up and running, have you talked to the DNR about their permits? I know typically they don't, you can't do anything until you get that permit.
Right.
but-
We actually have a webinar coming up, full-day FEMA training. Anybody wants to join us, they're more than welcome to kind of sort through some of those, because this is new for
Yeah.
us.
Was there a way to excavate dirt close to there to bring them up to that grade?
well,
On part of that?
there is a
There's a hill over
high,
here,
yeah.
so that would be a possibility, you know, and that's something we can investigate if that would be an area that the council would like us to do.
Without having to truck everything?
That's what I think, all the dirt and all that.
You might give up an acre or two here, but you might make the rest useful property then.
I mean, if people are, speaking to people, Carol, they're going to want to act. So we need to really decide to got to be able to answer them when they,
Right.
you know.
And there is a window of opportunity here before the August 2nd, when this map goes into effect. So there is a window of opportunity here. So that's why we're bringing it back to the council, so that if there is incentives out there, that we get them out, so that the people that are on the bubble about it will go ahead and purchase the lot.
I know you had one that was, let's see, you had some figures on the one that wanted to build, a business that wanted to build on the purchase of the lot, is you were kind of thinking along those lines?
That's where we were starting,
Okay.
but we're definitely open to,
I mean, when they developed the industrial lot, didn't they assess a price per lot? Typically, I wondered if that was at 23.
it's 49 cents a square foot is what we
Okay,
had been
per-
charging
okay.
everybody.
So we'd stick with that, but then it's the economic development grant and compensation for the site work they need to do.
Right, it's, yeah. You know, we had been doing the $10,000 grant that, on the other lot that was sold, that was already done, that was well before
This.
this designation. This point, what we're offering, help me out, Carol, is it 5?
4.
4,000 for site work?
So above the 10,
Above the 10.
above the 10.
Is it,
One of the
Would
things
be
I think we wanted to maintain
14.
was the 49 cents per square foot and the $10,000 economic development grant was what the city was initially offering anyone. So we just added in the additional $4,000 for this particular lot. That was just the agreement we were able to come to. They are very excited to get going and very excited to build. It is a great project, which they're going to put in there, which is exciting. And I think, like all things, activity generates activity. So if someone's willing to purchase the lots and take on that work and they know what they're up against, I think we should move forward.
you know, I just think the 4,000 for site work is low for them. Because I've dealt with industrial parks and the development and not ran into a flood zone area, which really deters them. I mean, if they got to get a permit, and then they got to get that fill in, and then they got to go through all the steps of local government, they don't like that slow process. You know, they're from the private entity, and we're just required to do that. I can't imagine the 4,000 would fill a lot, you know, the 12 inches with all the equipment needed.
Yeah.
And I think if we would be able to give, pretty much cover the cost of that, you know, them hauling dirt in it and leveling it and packing it and so on, I just think 4,000 is low for a lot.
One of the things that, with this particular lot, part of the lot is not in the floodplain.
Oh, okay.
A little bit of that lot is out. Another thing, I guess in this instance is when you bring in and build a building, you have to build it up somewhat anyway. So we're dealing with a situation here where everybody put their negotiating shoes on, and
And they were
this
okay
was
with
what
it?
we agreed to. I feel it is a very, very fair and wonderful offer to the city. They were very easy to work with. So, and I do believe they know exactly what they're doing.
They
So they have agreed to the price in the resolution.
Okay.
So I don't know necessarily that we need to negotiate. We may have to negotiate more on another lot
Yeah.
that is completely in the floodplain.
If it was another lot that was completely in,
Okay, I
and
didn't
then
realize it
during the
was-
elevations, it was 13 inches. So they had to actually bring it up 2 feet.
Okay,
You know,
sounds
then-
good.
Yeah, I think the situation with this particular offer that we have on the table right now, I feel is a very, very fair offer.
So that begs the question, and on the other lots, where do we go? Do we do half the cost of bringing in the fill? Do we do, we need some direction, because by the time we get somebody that's wanting to do that, our process, we don't feel like we can negotiate if we don't have some
You need something
guidelines.
to go by, yeah. On some of those lots, it is gonna cost more than that 4,000, like,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
In every lot, it will cost more than 4,000 to bring them up to the,
Yes.
even if we take the dirt off the hill that they're speaking of, the cost to the city, you can look at it either way. You can have the city pay the cost,
Right.
or you can have them pay the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So you negotiate it however best seems to work at the time. And what their project is, when you're dealing with a Truesdale Oil who's bringing in a propane tank and something like that, that's a little bit different than someone who wants to build a shop that's going to house 6 businesses individually and service different kinds of businesses. So I think each lot sale will have to be negotiated in its
When
own.
individually,
Yes.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think setting the precedent of 49 cents a square foot, $10,000 economic development grant, tax abatements, I think those things would be great direction, and if you guys would just give us a little bit of direction as far as, yes, we understand you have to negotiate to bring these lots up to buildable height. So I guess that's kind of what I'm after as far as promoting the industrial park is, where is that number for you guys? If you understand that it might be $20,000, then we're not going to make any money on the lot.
Well, that's where I was kind of going in my head, is that you could negotiate those costs up to the value of the lot at this point
Exactly.
and zero it out.
Yes.
I mean, in this case, with having those flood hazard areas, in order to get businesses in there, I think that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
That's fair.
And then if you get something, way above, some larger project that they maybe have I don't know, they're just all different sizes and types and requirements, and if they take up more space, or if you're going to go over that a little bit, then, we can discuss it.
Certainly. And it is definitely something that we want to continue to promote is this ground. It is right along a highway. I've had some great interest as far as, businesses that seem to fall right into that 12 to 15 employee size, which I think is perfect for that area. So I guess to keep moving forward, I'd like to build a water feature out there and have a road and put, a couple big businesses out there, but we'll just have to take it as they come.
And if we do draw a business that has 6 to 12 employees, we can apply for grants to help finish the road. There's road grants out there just for those industrial areas to complete them, so.
I'd love to
But
see
you need
growth
that
out there.
business
Yes,
too.
it's time. It's time for that area to see some activity.
Okay, what
Do you have
are
the direction you wish. Did the council pretty much in agreement with the 49 cents square foot, $10,000 grant, and then what, up to the value of the lot for?
And it cost, site work up to the value of the cost of the lot.
So can we do that? Or the percent coverage of the lot, whatever is less? Just so we have something that they don't put a 2,000 square foot building on a 3-acre lot and
Right,
get a full value of the land.
exactly. And each situation will have to be, I feel, negotiated. And everyone has, use a lot of common sense, and we have to kind of keep in mind what's in the best interest of the city as well, so.
I feel comfortable with that, Carol. You're comfortable? Okay.
Any other thoughts from council before we move on with that? Good, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for your work with that. Moves us then to Resolution 2022-18, Agenda Number 5, proposing to dispose of real property and publishing a notice of public hearing for tract number 4 in the Hawarden Industrial Park. Want to give a more overview? Do we need more overview with that?
I make a motion to approve according to the language we gave you.
Okay, there's been a motion by Patty. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. Ask for a roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2022.
Is there a time frame involved in this?
That they have to be built?
Yeah,
Usually a year.
I don't see it. There's no usually here. I mean, if we sell the lot, that's fine, but they can just sit on it.
Yes, yes, you're correct. We do need to add a time period to this. I don't know if it's a year.
Normally, unless they ask
Yeah.
for,
So they ask for an
A little
Yeah,
extension.
more.
depending upon when that is, when they would buy it, maybe 18 months, but yes, we will go back and amend this if you're okay with that. To have it be built in a year from the date of the signing.
So, you want me to vote on something that you might be able to do?
No, we
Or
should,
want to wait and do it after you pay the adjustments?
I would like to have the motion amended so that we put a time period in it and change the resolution, if I can do that.
You can do that, so the resolution is subject to the terms set forth in Resolution 2218 with the addition of a time frame completion of a year. That's what we said. And if it's not within a year, then it would need to be amended.
you might want to think about completion or starting, because the building materials are so far out that maybe you say, start building within X amount, 1 year.
Especially if we get past the August date and there's a 6-month timeline on the DNR permit, so we may have to extend that out, but what are you comfortable with?
would you be comfortable with, like, starting it within a year because of all the supplies and demand being so crazy? And completing it within a 2-year period? I don't want to say 18-month, 2-year period.
You got to anticipate they're going to complete it as quick as they can.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But there's always somebody, it seems like, but
And I only offer that because I know the material demand is
or it's
crazy.
completed, it started within a year and completed within 18 months, or they have the option of coming to the city clerk and asking for an extension. And you presenting it, but I don't know. I usually they give them a year, but they don't have all the supply and demand problems like they are right now.
So how do you want to,
I would,
you have to amend the motion. I can't do anything.
yeah,
Whatever motion you make.
Whatever-
We need to be subject to a start date and a substantial completion date.
well, start the project within the year, complete it within 18 months. Most people that are business want to complete it, but you never know if there's complications. But there is supply and demand issues. I've seen where they typically start and finish it within a year, so I think the 18 months is okay.
So your motion on Resolution 2218 with the terms set forth within the written resolution with the addition of starting within 1 year and completion within a I'll say substantial completion within 18 months. So that's the motion on the table.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. Okay. Thank you for the discussion. Thanks for the opportunity there, Monty. A roll call vote then for the amended agenda for resolution, amended resolution 2022-18.
Harvey. Olson.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Amended resolution 2022-18 passes. Jenny, thanks for your work with that, and thanks for your work, Carol, with that group of people that are looking to get this project going. Agenda item number 6 would be a resolution 2022-17, setting a time and place for a public hearing, directing public notice for hearing on the purchase and installation of 2 electrical power transformers. Travis.
Yeah, I met with DGR. They were able to get the specs for the 2 transformers up and ready to go. The documents are ready. So this would basically have a hearing on those bids. They would be done June 8th. I'd give them a week to go over them and award or recommend that the council award to the winning bid on June 22nd.
Questions for Travis? Is there a motion for resolution 2022-17?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. Roll call vote, please, for resolution 2022-17.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Harvey.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, resolution 2022-17 passes. Hopefully the bids come in good and construction gets quick.
Yes.
Agenda item number 7, resolution 2022-16, adopting the IAMU natural gas system operating and maintenance plan for the city of Hawarden.
PHMSA and the Iowa Utility Board have asked for changes to our existing operating and maintenance plan. IMU worked diligently to add those changes, and we have a final product. It's in your Dropbox folder to read. They're quite lengthy, 387 pages just for the written procedures alone. So that's why we did it that way, so you could look over it if you'd like. But we'd recommend approving that, and then I would have to update the Iowa Utility Board that we have adopted the plan, and we'll use it in the future.
So moved. So
Motion-
moved.
Motion by Travis for resolution 2022-16. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. Roll call vote, please, for that resolution.
Anderson.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Harvey.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, resolution 2022-16 passes, 387 pages. Very good.
One item, Rick, if you're all right with it, I want to point out, and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, but the IAMU furnished this to us at a reduced rate because we are a member. So when you've asked why we have some of those memberships, that's why we have them, is because of the reduced rates that we get on these types of things. I believe that we paid $700 for this, and anybody else pays $2,500.
I think it was 750.
So that's why we have the memberships that we do.
You don't mind if I still disagree with you.
Nope, that's perfectly fine, but I did want you to know that there is a reason that we do that. It's because we get reduced rates on things like that.
There is value. We couldn't have did those changes
No.
on our own, so.
And there's
as a
access
group.
to all kinds of information and expertise and in those.
You can stop talking about it. You're not gonna
I
change
know,
my mind.
I know I'm not going to change your mind, but I am a big believer in IMU League cities. That's just my opinion.
We'll then move to agenda item number. We have a public hearing for our fiscal year 2022 budget amendment. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Are there any comments? Did we receive any comments at the city office?
We did not.
Close the public hearing, which moves us then to Resolution 2022-19. Excuse me, approval of the fiscal year 2022 budget amendment.
So moved.
Been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. Roll call vote then, please, for Resolution 2022-19.
Anderson,
Aye.
Lucky,
Aye.
Harvey, Olson,
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2022-19 passes. Jacob, thanks for your work on all those financials. We move to agenda item number 9. This is a consent agenda from Main Street Liquors for a renewal of Class C liquor license, and from Recon Latino for a liquor license transfer on Saturday, May 28th. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I make a motion, oh, go ahead.
Motion by Patty, seconded by John.
Rob. That's
Rob?
fine.
Whatever you want to write down.
My other guy. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Our next regular stated meeting will be June the 8th, right back here at 5:30. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So make a motion.
Motion by Patty, seconded by Travis. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Have a great one.
Thank you so much for your attendance. Jacob, if you turn off the camera.